everyone. This is Sharon with Anteleki Visions, and this is an energy update for the week of January 27th through February 2nd. So we've made it through to the last week of this powerful month that has been very integrating, but also very quickening at the same time. That we have been integrating all the lessons from the eclipse season that we've moved through, and also that conjunction point on the 12th. So you may have found that it feels like an entire year has happened just in the month of January, because so much is happening, not just personally, but also in the world as well. That a lot is shifting right now. So we really needed this time to integrate all of this. Not just the lessons, but all of the changes that have been occurring. And then also to reassess and align ourselves to get ready for this more forward movement as it picks up speed into February. So you may find that February is quite a different quality to January. That there's a lot more occurring that feels more expansive and less integrating. The integration has its purpose, though, to really let us come to terms with what's happening within and to kind of allow ourselves to catch up vibrationally to what's shifting so that we can be ready when things start to really pick up pace. With this recent new moon that occurred on the 24th, that was like a launching into this new cycle, the launching into February itself. And it's like an emotional rebirth that happened. So an exciting cycle is beginning with this month, and I'm sure you can feel it kind of bubbling up in your own life, or the situations that are being presented to you, or things that are kind of on the verge of transpiring. There was also a bit of an erratic kind of quality, and as I'm recording this, I'm in the pre-new moon period, so tapping into the energy right now, there is very much an erratic quality to the collective at the moment. So it is kind of like that period before a birth, because a new moon is that you move through a dark phase of the moon, and then the moon is birthed as being new on that day. And so we move through that within ourselves. So you may have gotten kind of pulled inward right before the new moon, and it felt very sensitive, where maybe a lot of your sensitivities and your emotions were kind of right on the surface. And that's all part of this new cycle birthing as well. It's bringing up a lot of our insecurities, our fears, some mental mind chatter that maybe is telling us that we're not ready, or that we're not good enough to launch into this new expansion. So this is all just illusions. This is the shadow arising so that we can let it out, so it's not in the way of sharing more of our expansive selves. And you are ready. You've been preparing for this for a very, very long time. Even if you don't know what that is, even if you don't know what this cycle will entail, it will be shown to you. And to not force it, just to allow whatever is emerging in your life to organically and naturally unfold. Because you will be called to what compels you, to what draws your heart in, to what lights your spirit up. You will be called to that. So just trust it, that if you're unsure or you're doubting your path right now, or you're hearing about a new cycle beginning, or seeing people around you kind of launching into some new things, just trust that the divine timing is at play, and you'll be called to what you need in exactly the perfect moment that you need it. So with all that's happening and this particular new moon that occurred, this sensitivity may have been showing you some anxiousness as well. Because when we're integrating a lot and we're doing so much purging, we're doing so much healing, that we can eventually crave a space that is different from that. We can crave something where we are desiring the new. We're desiring to break out of the stagnation or the monotony of what we have been experiencing. And there can inspire that anxiousness with that because we're becoming impatient. We just want to get on with the show. We want to get things going and move forward. So the new moon may have drawn this out. You may have felt kind of anxious and impatient from what has really been binding or what has really been very limiting in our lives. So again, highlighting areas that are imbalanced, that we're no longer resonant with, so that it can shine this light on them to help us to create a shift in certain areas or many areas of our life that we're no longer resonating or vibrating with. So it'll allow us to really get real with ourselves, to be honest, to be truthful about what we need, about what we're really desiring on a soul level. And this is more about the heart and less about the ego, because the ego has its own plan, its own vision for our lives. But what is your heart really telling you of where you're being called towards, who you're being called towards, locations, paths, purposes, directions, kind of listening to that inner nudging, and to allow yourself to really try something new, to break out of your comfort zone. The energy that's coming up now in February is really going to be supporting our path in this way. We're moving into Aquarius season now, which is all about breaking the molds, this unconventional way of doing things. So always doing things with a healthy and safe kind of action to not harm another person. But if we break out of certain molds or conventions and ways that we have been doing things, they may no longer be working. So these times are asking for something different. They're asking for a new step in a new direction, for you to open a door that maybe you hadn't considered, or you didn't quite want to go toward it because it was inspiring some fear, some healthy fear, some anxiety. But there's something about a doorway that you have been called towards, that you have been thinking about or pining about, but that fear has been blocking you. That fear has been stopping you from moving toward it. So maybe procrastination steps in, or convincing yourself otherwise, that down the road you will connect to this, down the road you will move towards that. Well, right now is the time to move forward for that. Yes, we can say to ourselves that we'll do something many years down the line, but if not now, then when? These times on the planet are really, really powerful. And we were born into this life to share our expansion in its fullness right now. So we don't have to wait. We don't have to stall doing something that's going to help us step even more fully into our fullness and creative selves. Because when we do that, we will realize that that doorway was such an illusion of fear. The fear was so much grander, so much larger than we made the actual situation out to be. So let this be a little nudge to you, that if there is something that you are feeling compelled to move towards, that your heart is really giving you this constant nudging to begin, to start, to create, to move towards, to make that call, to make that move to another place, anything, to really let yourself move toward it now. Because this is the time. This is the time to really listen to that calling, because that calling is a direct message from your soul, from your spirit, telling you that that is your path. So with all that's occurring right now, this is a perfect time to really walk through these areas that may break us out of our comfort zone. And I know that that may not always be fun, that we prefer to really stay in our safe, comfortable spaces, and maybe even if we're miserable in them. But when we move through something that inspires a growth edge, and what I mean by a growth edge is when we move through a level of anxiety or healthy dose of fear, we are actually inspiring ourselves to grow. We're inspiring ourselves to level up, and we're also having the courage and the strength to share a new part of ourselves with other people and with the world. So listen to this right now and see what excites you at the moment. See what also softens you and nurtures you. Because anxiety doesn't always have to be about moving through something that you're scared of that causes you to feel frazzled. Anxiety can also excite you and allow you to receive some nurturing and comfort as well, because you're moving into something that's new and different and you feel soul fulfilled. So we have a beautiful month ahead that is really going to open up so much for our long-term goals, our long-term visions. And it's going to really allow us to get closer to them than ever before. And as we step up into this new cycle, we step up into these new roles and these visions that are really starting to solidify now, you'll realize that it feels so much more comforting now that it is more tangible, now that it is more real. And you'll realize how much you are truly capable of. So I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. If you need additional support at this time, I offer remote sessions by phone or in-person sessions. You can learn more at entelechivisions.com. And if you're enjoying this content, I invite you to like and subscribe to this channel, as it does help to support the channel. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening.